An unbelievable plan has been devised by Diosdado Cabello, the number 2 of Chavismo who haunts Venezuela.
The military and police forces, a group of whom are here with me.
Cabello, current Minister of the Interior and a central figure in Chavista power, has begun to openly defend the narrative that Nicolás Maduro could be rescued, even while in United States custody. The proposal, which circulates among the most radical sectors of the regime, goes beyond inflammatory rhetoric and seeks to keep the idea of resistance alive at any cost. This crazy plan to free Maduro from a United States prison shows just how desperate and disorganized the elite has become. And now it bets on external confrontation rhetoric as a way to preserve internal cohesion. Cabello seems to completely disregard the military capabilities of the United States, especially within its own territory. Planning an operation to remove someone from the American prison system reflects the irrationality of Chavismo, but it also raises an inevitable question. Would Cabello and the Chavista regime actually have the real capability to carry out the rescue of Nicolás Maduro? Welcome to Barracks Life. Any plan of this kind, if taken beyond rhetoric, would face almost insurmountable obstacles. The United States has absolute control over the custody environment, with layers of redundant security, integrated intelligence between the CIA, FBI, National Security Agency, and military commands, as well as protocols designed specifically to prevent foreign rescue operations. This isn't just a prison, but an ecosystem of political, legal, and military control. A poorly calculated move would not end in negotiation, but in the immediate capture or neutralization of those involved. Diosdado Cabello faces even higher personal risk. He is officially wanted by the United States with a posted reward of $25 million for information leading to his capture. This turns any international travel or any contact outside the regime's inner circle into a potential trap.
You must share all your interview experiences.
In practical terms, the more he exposes himself with statements like this, the more surveillance increases over his actions, allies, and financial flows. The rescue becomes, in practice, a magnet for his own downfall. The place is a selection where
Battle and for victory.
the permanent monitoring by the CIA, which continues on Venezuelan soil, weighs as a decisive factor to deter any idea that threatens the United States. The agency maintains human networks, electronic surveillance, and regional cooperation, even using South American countries as platforms for logistical and intelligence support. Paraguay, for example, emerges on this board as a point of strategic reinforcement, not for open invasions. Routes, interception of communications, and monitoring of movements linked to drug trafficking and the financing of the Chavista regime. The possibility of new incursions by the United States into Venezuela is also part of the calculation, not necessarily in the classic format of an invasion, but through surgical operations, targeted captures, economic blockades, and coordinated naval actions. Donald Trump, who has never hidden his intention to intervene in Venezuelan politics, has already made it clear in past statements that he sees Venezuela as a territory that needs to be stabilized before any real transition. In his view, the United States would administer Venezuela until the minimum structures were in place and Venezuelans could decide their own destiny. A little discussed but highly relevant aspect concerns the Cuban military personnel who served as Nicolás Maduro's bodyguards. According to reports released after the capture operation conducted by Delta Force, These Cuban agents were neutralized within minutes. This highlights both the American forces' operational superiority and the decline of Chavismo's international protection system. Then, under heavy economic and political pressure, Cuba no longer demonstrates the same ability to sustain high-risk missions outside its borders, revealing the limits of its military influence in the region. Meanwhile, the Southern Command maintains constant pressure in the Caribbean Sea. The command. Ships and oil tankers, suspects are caught, vessels tied to drug trafficking are intercepted, and sometimes even shot down. This blockade is more than just an anti-drug operation. It financially suffocates the regime, makes it harder to smuggle oil, and reduces the cash sources that support both the government and its allied militias. Diosdado Cabello, in turn, still has the support of the so-called Colectivos, which are paramilitary groups that operate outside the law, but with the tacit and often explicit approval of the Chavista regime. They are the ones who maintain territorial control in strategic neighborhoods, intimidate opponents, and act as shock troops in times of crisis. However, their effectiveness is limited against highly trained regular forces, and their operations tend to collapse when faced with well-coordinated external operations. The announcement of a plan to rescue Nicolás Maduro also serves as a tool for internal propaganda. It creates a clear external enemy, mobilizes the most radical base, and tries to revive the idea of threatened sovereignty. As this narrative drifts further from reality, Chavismo's isolation becomes clearer. The gap between political bravado and actual ability has never been wider, and people inside and outside Venezuela notice it. Brasileiro siege. Any real attempt to rescue Nicolás Maduro, if it happens, could provoke a response from the United States that would be considered devastating, speed up new military operations, and determine the fate of leaders like Diosdado Cabello and Defense Minister Padrino Lopez. While Chavismo still controls parts of the country, the international climate no longer supports its strategies. In this power struggle, statements may cost more than they appear.
Above all, the firm decision we have to keep moving forward with the revolution with Bolívar as our guide.
And do you believe that the Chavista regime would really have the courage to try to rescue Maduro? Or is it just bluster to support the ideological narrative and keep the Chavismo base mobilized? At Vita's Barracks, you stay informed about all military news. Leave your like, subscribe, and watch one of the videos appearing on your screen. Forward fighters, until next time.